The Zephyrian hunting grounds stretched endlessly under twin purple suns, a maze of crystalline formations that hummed with deadly energy. Ambassador Kethvar watched through his compound eyes as the human delegation approached the ceremonial arena, their soft pink skin glistening with what his translator informed him was called sweat. "This is madness," whispered his aide, mandibles clicking nervously. "The Terrans cannot possibly understand what they've agreed to." Kethvar remained silent, his 6 legs shifting uneasily. In the 3 cycles since first contact, humanity had surprised the Galactic Council repeatedly. Their primitive chemical rockets had somehow evolved into quantum drives within a single generation. Their chaotic democratic systems had unified into a cohesive interstellar government in record time. And now this. The ritual of proving was sacred among the Zephyrians, unchanged for millennia. When challenged by a lesser species seeking trade rights, tradition demanded that a champion face the Voidstalker in single combat. No weapons, no armor, only courage and cunning against 15 feet of crystalline death that had never known defeat. Perhaps, Kethvar mused, they don't understand what single combat means in our language. The human champion stepped forward from their group. Captain Sarah Chen, according to the briefing files, a former military officer turned diplomatic attaché. She was small even by human standards, barely reaching Kethvar's thorax. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her brown eyes held an unsettling calmness that made the ambassador's exoskeleton crawl. "I am ready," Chen announced in perfectly accented Zephyrian, her empty hands held open at her sides. The crowd of assembled aliens fell silent. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered to witness what they assumed would be a swift and brutal demonstration of why humans didn't belong among the civilized races. The betting pools heavily favored the stalker, with some offering odds of 1,000 to 1 against the human surviving even 30 seconds. Elder Vexthal, ancient even by Zephyrian standards, raised his ceremonial staff. "Let the proving begin," his voice echoed across the crystal plains. The ground beneath the arena began to glow, and reality seemed to twist. Space folded in on itself, revealing a rift in the dimensional fabric. Through it stepped the Voidstalker. The creature defied easy description. Its form shifted between dimensions, sometimes appearing as a massive insectoid predator, other times as a writhing mass of shadow and teeth. What remained constant were its forearms ending in claws that could slice through starship hulls, and eyes that burned with the cold fire of dying stars. The stalker had never been defeated. It had torn apart Corellian battle champions, dissolved Matherian acid warriors, and crushed Titan-breed gladiators. 47 species had sent their finest warriors to challenge it over the centuries. 47 species had been denied trade rights after their champions' swift deaths. Chen studied the creature with scientific interest, as if it were a particularly challenging equation, rather than an interdimensional apex predator. She began to walk forward. "What is she doing?" hissed Kethvar's aide. "Is this some human death ritual?" The stalker noticed the approaching figure, and let out a sound that made the crystalline formations ring like funeral bells. It charged, reality warping around its massive form as it closed the distance in seconds. Chen continued walking. At the last possible moment, as claws descended toward her head, the human did something unprecedented. She didn't dodge or attack or attempt to defend herself. Instead, she reached out and gently touched the creature's foremost claw with her fingertips. The Voidstalker stopped. For the first time in recorded history, the ancient predator hesitated. Its multidimensional form solidified slightly, as if confused by the lack of fear or aggression. Chen maintained contact with the claw, her expression serene. "You're tired," she said softly, her words somehow carrying across the silent arena. "How long has it been since you've seen your home dimension? How many centuries since you've been anything but a weapon for others to use?" The stalker's burning eyes flickered, and something that might have been recognition passed through them. Chen stepped closer, placing her palm flat against what might have been the creature's chest. "I know what it's like to be used as a tool of war," she continued. "To have others send you to fight their battles, to reduce you to nothing but your capacity for violence. But you're more than that, aren't you?" The assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as the most feared predator in known space began to change. Its aggressive posture softened. The dimensional distortions around it calmed. For just a moment, its true form became visible. Not a monster, but a being of crystalline beauty, elegant and ancient beyond measure. The stalker looked down at the small human touching its chest, then slowly, carefully, placed one massive claw on her shoulder. Not to harm, but in what could only be described as gratitude. Elder Vexthul's staff clattered to the ground. "Impossible," he whispered. Chen smiled up at the creature. "Would you like to go home?" she asked. The Void Stalker's form began to fade, not from defeat or death, but from choice. As it dissolved back into the dimensional rift, its eyes met Chen's one final time. The sound it made was no longer a hunting cry, but something softer, something that might have been goodbye. The rift closed. Chen stood alone in the center of the arena, hands once again empty at her sides. The silence stretched for long moments before Kethvar found his voice. "How?" he asked. "How did you know?" Chen turned to face the assembled delegates, her expression matter-of-fact. "Because humans understand something that apparently the rest of the galaxy has forgotten. Sometimes the most dangerous predator is one that's been hurt for so long, it's forgotten how to be anything else. And sometimes," she paused, "the bravest thing you can do is show trust to something everyone else fears." Elder Vexthul approached slowly, his ancient form trembling. "The proving is concluded. The humans have demonstrated something we did not expect to see." He looked around at the stunned representatives. "Trade rights are granted." As the various species began to disperse, chattering excitedly about what they had witnessed, Kethvar approached the human ambassador. "Your people," he said carefully. "They see the galaxy differently than the rest of us." Chen nodded. "We've learned that everything deserves a chance at redemption. Even apex predators. Even ourselves." She looked back at where the rift had been. "Especially ourselves." As the human delegation prepared to depart, word of the day's events had already begun to spread across the galaxy. The species that had walked forward with empty hands when a predator charged had done more than win trade rights. They had shown the civilized races something that had been lost for millennia. They had shown them hope.